Welcome. Thank you for joining us today for our second episode of What's That? We are recording this session to be posted on our website at a later date. My name is Nancy Rinaldi. I'm the Director of the Community Outreach Program here at Easter Seals, and I'm coming to you from our Resource and Technology Demonstration Center, so we can talk to you a little bit about assistive technology for brain injury survivors and their caregivers. But assistive technology is just one facet of our caregiver support programs in the Community Outreach Program. We have a Caregiver Resource Center with 2 case managers who can provide resources and information for caregivers, regardless of what you may need. They can give you information not just about Easter Seal services, but other services in the community. We also have our respite grant funding program to help caregivers just get a break from being a caregiver. There is grant funding available to help you take that break. We also have our FYI, Financial Independence, Lower Interest Rate Program. So that can help people acquire some assistive technology, typically things that are over $500 that maybe your insurance isn't paying for, but we can help provide that information. So Patience is going to put the contact information for all of that in the chat box. We have a really short period of time, so I'm just going to show you some assistive technology that I pulled out. It certainly doesn't cover the whole scope of things. We are going to leave questions till the end, and we're happy to stay as long as you want to ask any questions. If you have some questions or need clarification, feel free to put it in the chat box, and we'll be monitoring that. So with that, we'll get started. So with brain injury, there's a whole spectrum of things that can be affected as a result of brain injury. So we're going to go through a few things. So one thing might be some mobility issues might affect your activities of daily living. So this is an example of a shirt that looks like a typical button-down shirt, but it's actually magnets. So for instance, if somebody had difficulty, maybe they have tremors, maybe they have weakness on one hand and they wouldn't be able to do traditional buttons, this shirt could be a good option for them so that they're not required to wear t-shirts or sweatshirts all the time. Another area that could be affected is when you're looking at mealtime. So here are just a couple examples of things. Let me show you this first. This is actually a weighted fork, and you might not be able to tell, but the top part is weighted. So someone that might have tremors, using something weighted in their hand can help reduce some of that tremoring, and it could mean that they can then feed themselves independently versus the caregiver having to do that. A couple other things related to mealtime. This is a scoop dish, and so you can see it's higher in the back than the front, and so somebody can scoop against the back so that the food goes on their fork or their spoon, whatever they're using, and it doesn't go all over the table. Again, more independence for that person and less work for the caregiver. And something that you could use with that, this is just a lift riser for a plate. So you can put the plate on top of it and you can see it raises the plate up so that it's closer to the person. So there's not as much need. They don't have to go as far from the plate up to their mouth. It's a shorter distance and might make it easier if there's some limited mobility, or again, if there's tremors or other things that might impact that. And another item, some of you may have seen this before, this is called a handy bar, and this actually fits in the side of the car door, the door frame, I'm sorry. It sits in there, and then you can use this to help push up to get up to a standing position. So if you think about trying to get out of a car, there's not really anything to hold on to. If you try to push on the door might swing out of the way. You don't want to hold on to the window, the door frame. So this is an opportunity to use something to help push up and get up a little bit more independently. Another thing, so you can use some smart home adaptations for the person to be a little bit more independent. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. We can go over there. So one of the things is you can use a tablet or an iPad to operate things. So I'm going to use a smart plug to turn the fan on and off. So I used an app on my iPad. The fan is plugged into a smart plug, and I can use the iPad to turn it on and turn it off. Similarly, if you have something like a smart home hub, say a Google Home or an Amazon Alexa, you can use that to help with that as well. And so we have something I'll show you that we set up a routine here. So we're going to say echo sunrise.
Okay.
And you can see it turned on the fan, it turned on the light, and it's opening the curtain. So the curtain is being opened by something called a switch bot. The lamp has a smart bulb in it. And then, as I already mentioned, the fan is plugged into a smart plug. So all of those things, or they can all act independently. We can say, echo, close curtain.
Okay.
And they can just do it independently. Maybe the person doesn't want to look out the window that day, and so they want the curtains closed. So again, more independence for the person, less requirement on the caregiver to come in and have to come in the room and do all those things for the person. Other things that we know typically with brain injury that there might be some limitations with memory. And so here's just one example of the many types of medication reminders that are out there. So this one you can set up either for 2 weeks if the person only takes medication 1 time a day, or you can set it up for echo, reminder done. So that's another, I forgot I said that. That's another use for those smart homes is that smart home hubs is that you can use them to set reminders. So that reminder said, it's time to take your medication. So you can use it for something like that as well. So that can be a medication reminder. This is a medication reminder that you can set up either for 2 weeks if somebody just takes it once a day, or for 1 week if they take it twice a day, and you'll get an alarm to remind you to take the medication. You take the case out, take the medication, put it back, and then cancel the alarm, and then you're good to go. So that's one example of an array of medication reminders that are out there. I want to show you just a couple apps. Well, I'll show you on this one. So there's also some reminder and planning apps. So this is a reminder app, and so you can see it's highlighted today for the calendar, and I have on here that there's a reminder that's going to come up at 11:45 to take medication. It reminds me that every Thursday I meet somebody for lunch or for dinner, and then it's going to tell me every day at 6 p.m. there's a reminder to take out the trash or to feed the dog or whatever you want it to do. So this is something that you can do. You can have auditory reminders, you can have written reminders. So there's a variety of things. This is just the free version. There is a paid version that has many more options and it's more programmable. And then another one is this one that's called errands so I have on here for tomorrow, go to the grocery store, and then I can click on it and it gives me the list of things that I need to get. And I have it as a checklist. So when I'm in the store, I can check off each one as I get it. I can continue to add to it until I go to the store tomorrow. And so it helps me remember what I need to get at the grocery store. So those are just a couple examples. Again, many, many more things that are out there that are helpful to people with brain injuries. I'll show you this. Kind of looks like a little unwieldy. But what's nice about this is this actually can hold a keyboard and a tablet. This tablet we just happen to have in a holder, and you can put the keyboard in here. So it's a Bluetooth keyboard. It doesn't have to be, but this is a Bluetooth keyboard. So now for this person, if they need to sit at their desk or sit in a wheelchair, they could use their finger, they could use a stylus or whatever to access the keyboard, or they can still use the keyboard and maybe they need the iPad to be sitting or the tablet to be sitting up higher so they can see it better. And so that would be another example of how this could be used. The final thing I want to show you is sometimes a brain injury can affect vision. So this is an example of a handheld magnifier. Okay. So I'm going to see if I'm at the grocery store, I want to read the back of this graham cracker box, but I can't really see it. So if I use this magnifier, so I'm doing it backwards here, so it's a little bit hard. Oops. So there you go. And now if I want to make it bigger, there you go. I made it bigger. I can change colors, the color contrast, because sometimes that makes a difference for people. I'm sorry. It's hard to do it in this direction. I don't know if you guys are able to see that, but you can see, are you getting it? Oh yeah, I have to do it backwards. But anyway, you can see that it increased or decreased. Let me see if I can do it just for, if this helps. There you go. So it is backwards, but you can see that's a different contrast. That's a different contrast. So sometimes people with vision issues, different contrasts can help, different sizes can help. This particular one, you can also take a picture of it, of whatever the item is. So let's say this was up really high and I couldn't reach it at the grocery store. I could take a picture and then bring it down and say, oh, okay, those nutrition ingredients are okay, or that doesn't have any of the things I'm allergic to. I can ask somebody to get that for me. So lots of different options. And again, this is just one example of something for vision. Well, you guys know where we are. We would love to have you come in and do a in-person tour or virtual tour. We're located at 61 Corporate Circle in Newcastle. Feel free to give us a call. You can call us at 302-221-2291, and that will get anybody in, or that will get our 2 case managers. Or you can send us an email at resources@esdel.org, and that will get to anybody in the Resource Center. We're happy to help answer questions, not just about what we talked about today, but really anything else that you might have questions about that might be helpful to you as a caregiver or someone who is a survivor of brain injury. So thank you. We look forward to seeing you next month.